Hello, I'm Eileen Roche, founder of Designs and Machine Embroidery, and thank you for joining me today for this episode of Between Friends. Today, we're going to talk about, it's all about the shape. We're not going to talk about, Spanx or girdles or anything like that. It's all about the shape in quilting. Because in edge to edge, we concentrate on filling our biggest hoop with the biggest design we can so we can cover that canvas as quickly as possible. But sometimes you want to accent shapes that are within the quilt. But I'm not going to tackle this topic alone. I have asked my good friend Salima Jaffer from Alameda, California to join me. Now, Salima comes from a whole family of business people in this industry, and they own AAA Sewing and Vacuum in Alameda, California. So let's welcome in Salima Jaffer. Hi, Salima.
Hi, Eileen. Good to see you.
It's so great to work with you again. We don't get to see each other very often.
I know. I can't believe it's been a year since I was last on with you. Time just flies.
It really does fly. It really does. But, we kind of go back a long way. In 2013, maybe, or 2012, I met you for the first time, right?
Yes, you were our very first big event we did, and it was fabulous. You and your sister came out. We were at the Carson Community Center, I remember, and we had an amazing 2-day event. It was fabulous. That was a long time ago.
It really was. And, it's a whole family. Your whole family's in the business, right? And so, of course, Marie and I were so touched when we got there. And, we've done a lot of events across the country, and setup day is a lot of work, right? You're in blue jeans and t-shirts and you're hauling machines and luggage and samples and hanging all kinds of things. And your family had piped in classical music into this space while we set up. I will never forget that. It was so calm, so peaceful. Yeah.
You have to make it fun, right? And setup has to be fun at the same time. So it was good. It's always good. We are like that. We like to set up couple of days before, just so that the last minute, there's always something to do, but at least when the majority of the stuff is done, you just kind of are more on the relaxed side of it.
Absolutely. And it just did create a really calming effect. And my sister Marie Zeno, she's my stitching sister, and she's actually going to be my guest here next week. I'm so excited.
Oh, nice. I'll have to watch that.
I know. Yeah. Oh, let's see. Lynn Rose says that she remembers that event. She stocked up on dime product at that time. Well, thanks for joining us back then, Lynn. Do you know Lynn, Salima?
Oh my God, Lynn works here.
Oh, she does? Oh, okay. Well, now we know. Right? Well, do you know Fancy Pants? Who's saying hello?
I do. Hi, Fancy Pants. Yep. These are all my people.
All your people.
Guys for watching. Yep.
Yeah. Well, say hello to Dory Hobson. She's an avid embroiderer from Naples, Florida. And maybe you have met her through the years. I don't know. But I had the pleasure of cruising with Dory one year and teaching, her down at Flash. Super fun.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, and let's see. Fancy Pants says she also has stitching sisters of her own. Hey, that's a great question. How many of you have stitching sisters, like true stitching sisters that you are related to and you sew with? I know many of you have friends that you call stitching sisters, and that counts, but not in this response today, right, Salima? Let's find out. Yeah.
So
and
I have a brother, so that won't count.
That won't count. Yeah, no. That won't count. Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's see. Barbara Murphy does. Michelle M does. Isn't that great? So I am one of 6 sisters, and 3 of us sew, embroider, or quilt, or all 3, right? And another sister is an artist, a very talented painter, and then our youngest sisters are just brilliant. They don't craft. They're like, one went to Harvard, the other one works, very in Manhattan, and she does computer software in the real estate agency, real estate field. And it's amazing what they both do. So
wow, I didn't realize you had that many sisters. That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So Dory Hobson wants to know, how about 2 daughters? Ooh, that's pretty cool. Wow. Yeah. So how many
of you? I out there again too. Yeah. Eileen, I've got 2 boys.
You got two boys, right? Yeah, I have a boy and a girl, and my daughter, she did sew as a real little girl, but now she's a doctor. So, and I used to always say to people in the events, they'd be like, "Oh, I'm afraid to start." I'm like, "Oh, don't be afraid. Just press go. It's only fabric and thread. It's not muscle and bone." And now my daughter does muscle and bone.
Oh my goodness.
I know, it's crazy. So
Yeah,
let's see, I missed that. Yeah. Oh, let's see. So Sue Emden, she has a brother that sews boat cushions. Yeah, that's
Wow.
a talent that's in demand in many parts of the country for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And Marjorie, my friend from Lancaster, she taught her daughter to quilt, and it is so much sewing with her. That's awesome.
Nice.
Okay. It's great to have, we all share so much in common, don't we, Salima?
We do. And I think this hobby of embroidering and sewing and quilting has really kind of kept the community together. It's one big family. You have that link, that attachment, and it's just been amazing.
Yeah, I used to call it a solitary sport. It was something you did in your home, in the privacy of your home, and most likely a family member didn't share in your passion. But now I feel like, goodness, it's so much larger, and we are all connected. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, especially nowadays when we have all these classes online and virtual and hybrid. We have just met so many different people from all parts of the world, really. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah.
And, interesting you said that, because one of our viewers said she has virtual sisters. So I like that. Online stitching sisters, Dawn Tennyson. Thanks for mentioning that. That is very valid, very valid. But, speaking of online classes, you have a pretty great offering. So tell us a little bit about that.
I do. So what I do is I have a Baby Lock IQ Tips and Tricks group. It's a private group. You just have to answer a few questions to join. But basically, I teach everyone how to use their machines, the IQ Designer part of it. It's a free group. I do lessons every other Tuesday at 3:30 p.m. Pacific. So if any of you have that machine, come on and join me. We have a lot of fun. I just do all kinds of either projects or techniques, but we meet every other Tuesday. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Awesome. That's great. And here in the chat, you're going to see a link to Salima's group. So, it's kind of really long to put up on in the comments section, on screen. So if you in the chat, you can see that link there for sure.
Thank you.
So, and Barbara Murphy just finished a virtual retreat with you. So Barbara, was it good? Was it good? Did you enjoy it? Did you learn? Tell your friends here in this chat.
We actually made the table runner above my head. That's one of the projects from the retreat. So that's what she just made. Yeah.
So they did 5 different blocks. So tell us about that. They're going to learn applique. They're going to.
Yeah. So what it is we created the flowers in IQ Designer or My Design Center if you have the brother version of that. And so they were all just created, and they're all appliques. So we teach you how to do appliques, and you can't see it, but there's also background quilting. And then the borders are quilted as well. So we did a little bit of everything. And that was just one of 3 projects. It was a 4-day retreat. It was all virtual. It was a lot of fun.
That's great. I like that. I mean, it really stretches people's skills, get them familiar with the tools that they have right in their embroidery studio, because these machines have so many features, and I am guilty of not using those features. I'm kind of old school, Salima. When I started embroidering, there really weren't all those bells and whistles. So my whole background is in developing tools for those of us who want to do it all, but have limited machine features or sewing fields, that kind of thing. So that's really, kind of where I come from.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I remember when I started, the hoop size was 4x4. I mean, it was tiny, right?
Right.
So,
yeah. And you had to rehoop and rehoop and rehoop and rehoop. Right?
Constantly. Yeah.
Yeah. I know. Well, you're getting some really nice kudos here. Fancy Pants, love that name. She says the retreat was really terrific, very interesting, informative, and loves her finished projects.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, it was like I've actually done 2 retreats, and I'm getting requests to do another one. So I'm looking into some dates for a 3rd retreat. So yeah, it'll be fun.
Good. Yeah. And Ursula, welcome from the UK. Nice to have you here spending your evening with us. We appreciate your time for sure. Just so you know, Ursula, I'm in Dallas, Texas, in the center of the USA, and Salima is on the West Coast, California. So all kinds of times. Okay, so let's pop over to our topic at hand, which is all about shapes. And, you know, when you do a Google search for quilt patterns, you're going to come up with, you know, hundreds, thousands of offerings. Some are, you know, downloadable, some you order and they send you the paper pattern, some are free. But all of them, as you look at this image here, I just did this search, you know, about an hour ago, you'll see that one thing they all have in common is they are made up of different shapes, whether that's diamonds, half square triangles, rectangles, circles, etc. They're all made up of different shapes. So, you know, to tackle that with embroidery, you know, to work shape by shape is pretty smart to do because it breaks it down very simply. So that's how I designed or invented the Center It kit. And I introduced that, I guess it's about 1.5 years now. And I have realized that through the years, you know, I print a lot of templates of my quilting designs. And one thing that I've noticed is they're all the same size, right? They're either diamonds, squares, rectangles, what have you. Maybe not the same size, but they are the same shape. So, you know, to kind of conserve on printing all those templates when really all I want to do is fill that shape, that's why I invented the Center It kit. And in this kit, you are going to enjoy 3 templates of each size. And that's because we wanted you to feel free to cut them down into whatever size maybe you normally use. Some people, you know, prefer 8x8 blocks, and that might be based on your hoop, right? So you can save one set of the templates in its full 12-inch size, or cut it down and cut the other ones down to the size that you need. So here we have a square. We have diamonds in 45 degrees and 60 degrees, circles, and hexagons. So you'll see that each of these shapes are really helpful for determining, you know, where to land that embroidery design. And it's all about that. You're also going to notice that there's 2 different types of target stickers that come with it. The yellow is for planning embroidery away from the machine, like on your design wall, maybe on a table where you lay out your quilt, your blocks, and you're determining the placement of that quilting design. The other target sticker is a blue target sticker that's larger than the hole. And we're going to take a good look at that in the overhead cam in a little bit so that you can see the difference between the 2. But the blue one is used for placement and positioning right under the needle. You don't need to remove the whole quilt from the machine in order to determine your placement. You can use these templates in the hoop because they are flexible and translucent. You're going to love it. But Salima is going to show us some tricks on how to do it on the Solaris. But before we go there, I thought, because you're going to be making your own design, you are literally going to be selecting a shape and making your own design. But let's pop over to PowerPoint and you'll see I'm going to have a handful of embroidery designs to show you. I'm sorry, I kind of have 2 slides going on. First off, here's the special. It's only $39.99 today. And if you add other product, anything over $75, you get free shipping. So many embroidery collections, quilting collections already come in shapes. Like here is our Love You More collection, and you see squares, half square triangles, and rectangles. All of the elements that often fill up a quilt. Even here's fun with squares, and obviously it's squares. Now, if I was going to use templates, I would have to print different templates of each of these designs. But since I know their size, I can use my Center It quilt my center kit to perfect that placement. Pebble Passion, same thing, squares, diamonds, half square triangles. And of course here, one of my favorites is this paisley filler. So we have 60-degree and 45-degree diamonds, circles, squares, and half square triangles. So, you know, you're already using embroidery designs like this. If you haven't thought about that, then, you know, give it a moment to think about all of the designs in your design library. I'll bet they are already in specific shapes. Okay, Salima, on the Solaris, which is that beautiful baby lock top of the line, you do some different techniques. So why don't you go ahead and take it from there?
All right, perfect. So what I'm going to do, let me go ahead and just change my camera here. And I'm going to show you how I have this panel. This fabric is like a little cheater panel. So you can see that you have different shapes that you can actually quilt inside. So I'm going to use this panel here and go ahead and quilt inside of that. So I'm going to show you the end result, and then I'll show you how I got there. So here is my little panel all quilted, ready to go. And you can see how it's a basic shape. So it's a basic built-in shape on the machine, but I centered this little flower in the center of my piece. And you can see it right here. It's like really plain here. And I was able to just center that flower in position. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and turn you over to the sewing machine here real quick and then show you how I created that piece. So we'll go ahead and wake up the machine here, and I will go ahead and start by clicking on IQ Designer. And I'm going to go ahead and scan my fabric in. So to do that, we have an icon here that it's called the scanning icon. So I'll go ahead and click on that icon and click on image icon or image scan, and then click on the word scan. And I'll turn the camera over so you guys can see it's scanning the panel. So it's just basically taking a little picture of what is in my hoop. And you notice it's a quilt, right? Or it could be a table runner. So I have it sandwiched with batting and a backing fabric, and I have the dime magnetic hoop. I absolutely love those hoops for this kind of purpose. It's just so easy to hoop your fabric. So it'll just take a minute or so. It'll quickly scan the shape, or the fabric rather, and then I'll go ahead and show you on my machine what happens here. So I'll turn my camera over again. Here you can see on the machine the actual shape scanned in, the fabric. So I know I want to have a basic shape, and my shape is going to be a square, but on the machine you can see here you have all types of shapes to work with. So you have your triangles, your squares, your hearts, anything that your heart desires. So I'm going to take a basic shape and start with that square, and I'm going to size it so that it fits in within my fabric. So I'm clicking on the word size, and then I will just go ahead and size it so that it fits my fabric here. And I'm just going to make it just ever so slightly. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller than the outside shape because I don't want it to fill on the border of my block, just within that block. So I'll go ahead and just come in a bit. Now, if you want to make your image darker, you can make it darker, and you can move your square box. Once you're all set, you want to go ahead and fill on the inside of this. But this outside box, currently the way it's set up, it's going to stitch it out. And I don't want that. I just wanted that for my placement purposes. So I'll go ahead and make sure that it is set to a no sew line so that it just is for my shape and not necessarily stitching out. So to actually fill inside here, I'm going to click on my fill properties icon and click on this fancy fills. They're decorative fills. And if I click on the word select, you will see that there are a number of different fills that I can choose from. You can really have fun and audition so many different fills. The one that I'm going to pick is number 3, and I'll say okay. And then I'll click on this bucket here, and I'll click and fill on the inside. So just like that, one click, I've gone ahead and filled the inside of this. But I want you to take a look here on the next screen is the center design here. I can make it so that, let me go ahead and just delete the background just a hair, and maybe I could even zoom in so you guys can really see that. This center flower, if I make this bigger, so for example, if I make it, let's say 130%, watch what happens to that center flower. It makes it nice and big, and it's centered within that center portion of my panel. And then I would click on the word set, click on the word okay, and just like that, my quilting is done, and I can go ahead and embroider the design. So it makes it really easy. These machines make it really easy to go ahead and find a shape and then quilt within that shape.
That is awesome. That is so awesome. Yeah.
Thank you. So much.
It's, well, first off, that panel is adorable, and you're selecting the right fill for that. It's interesting. They have so many options in there, but you know, if you take your time and select the right one, it's really going to be compatible.
Right. Well, I noticed that particular panel, that particular has that center opening, and it was perfect for that flower. So that's why I selected that fill. It just so happened that flower, no matter what size you do, it always centers it in there. So it's a great fill for that.
Right. Well, you know, we had a question about the hoops from Mary Ann Dublaga. She says, are the magnetic frames mostly for quilting, or are they strong enough to use for regular embroidery? So I personally use them for 90% of my embroidery. Any t-shirts, sweatshirts, denim, you know, jacket backs, that kind of thing, I'm going to use a magnetic hoop. I rarely really use the standard hoops anymore. You know, you do have to kind of proceed with caution, right? Make sure that on a quilt sandwich or a heavy terry cloth towel, that you have the right grip. We kind of have a, well, in a moment, I'll come back and I'll show you my hoop test that I do. I don't want to just start tearing everything apart. My director's over there going, thank heavens. Yeah. So, and then Candy Bray wanted to know about using the magnetic hoops for soft and stable, which is that foam. Well, frankly, I've actually been doing a lot of foam lately. And what I've learned is, you know, foam is like a surfboard, right? It's like a boogie board, a surfboard. So you have to control that foam. You can't just let it hang off the table because that top frame will slide. But that's a topic that we're going to be, you know, covering in August. We're going to get into handbags in August. So we'll be talking about that then for sure, Candy. So hang tight. Let's see. And Rebecca, you want to know, do the magnetic hoops work on the Dream Machine? Absolutely. Every hoop size that you have that is compatible with your Dream size, except that teeny tiny little sock hoop, we have a magnetic hoop for. So it starts at the 4x4, and for your machine goes all the way up to the 9.5x14. So don't be afraid of them.
No, they're fabulous.
I know, aren't they? They really are great.
I have several different sizes that I just rotate them out depending on my project. I love it.
Right.
And now I feel like I think I need two of this one that I'm using now, because I was thinking about my project for today. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. One is being hooped. I need another one. So I think I'm going to go and get another one. And that way I'll have them both.
In the staging area, right? To be ready for the next project. Yeah, to have it all hooped and ready to roll. Yeah, I know. Yeah. But, you know, hey, let's not forget about when you're hooping. I mean, when you're quilting with your magnetic hoop, the beauty of that is you don't have to take the hoop off the machine. You just lift that top frame, advance your fabric, drop the top frame in place, all under the needle. I mean, that is just absolutely the best.
Huge. And what I even do is I take that top frame and put it over on the top of my machine. I kind of rest on the top of my machine. So it has a place to rest. I move my fabric and then plop it back down, and that's it. It's fabulous.
You know, last week, I think it was last week, if not last week, 2 weeks ago, I had Christine Connor from Edge to Edge on from Amelia Scott Designs. And she has a technique that she calls the Amelia Scott slide. And let's get through our class today, but maybe at the end I'll share that technique. And I was quilting last night and this morning at home, and I used it, and it's a great technique. It's a great technique.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. So Nancy has a question. She wants to know, why do the machine companies say not to use these hoops because it will damage an embroidery machine? That's a good question, Nancy. And really, that advice, it dates back to the 1990s, when our cell phone was in a tote bag and it had coiled wires and all of that. And today, you know, our whole world, right, is, you know, in a cell phone that fits in your handbag. The computer that's in here is about the same size as the computer that's in your embroidery machine. And it is in a highly insulated area. You do not have to worry about using a magnetic hoop on a machine. And Dime has thoroughly tested every hoop that we release for the brand and for the size. So we have not incurred any damage whatsoever. If we did, we would not manufacture that size hoop. And in fact, many other, you know, Brother and Baby Lock now offer their own version of a magnetic hoop. They're not as, well, they're not the same as a Dime hoop. We don't want to bash competition, but what I can tell you is a Dime hoop is the easiest one to use. Lift that top frame, slide that fabric, drop it back down. And Viking and Pfaff also has a version of a magnetic hoop that doesn't share the same strength that we have. But so, you know, whatever information you're getting about, you know, you can't use a magnetic hoop near your machine, that's about 25 years old. So have confidence. And hey, here's my good friend, Sue S. Brown. Haven't talked to her in a long time. Do you know Sue Brown from OML Embroidery? She's our friend up in Canada.
I do not.
Well, yeah, well, she's very talented, and she does a weekly sew along and on the first, well, let's see, on the last Thursday of every month, I give a project to our viewers, and that includes a free embroidery design. And Sue Brown does a sew along on that following Saturday. So I'm going to have Sue back here. It's been a while since she's been on. I just wanted to give her a nice shout out. Yeah. Okay, so. Let's see. Judy Warren says the other hoops are not as ergonomic as Dime. Boy, you're not kidding. And many of them are not as strong. And, you know, taking multiple magnets on and off, on and off, on and off. Well, heck, might as well go back to a standard hoop, right? Okay, let's talk about our center kit, right? That's why we're here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm going to go over to my overhead cam and kind of just show the product so people know what it is. It comes in a really nice, handy folder that it's like an envelope that you'll find all of the templates. There's going to be 15 in there. There is also a sheet of instructions to kind of guide you as to, you know, why it was invented, how to use it. You'll also find a sheet of target stickers that are yellow. You're familiar with these. They have an arrow that's designating the top of the embroidery design. And you'll have another set of target stickers that are blue. And they are larger than the opening in the template. So here's my square opening. And this blue target sticker is going to be larger than that opening. And I'm just going to align that crosshair on the target sticker with the crosshair on the template. And now, because the adhesive surface is open on the back of the template, when I place this on fabric and wherever I place it, it's not going to fall off. Not going to fall off. So, you know, that's for that's for positioning underneath the needle, and we're going to get to that in just a moment. But first, let's take a look at some of the shapes. So here's a hexagon. And yes, this is the full size 12 inches. I can cut that down if I, you know, find that often I'm using maybe a 6-inch hexagon or an 8-inch hexagon. And remember, you get 3 of each shape in the kit. And so since I'm working off of the machine right here on the design area, so I can use the yellow target sticker for that. And I'm just going to center that target sticker right in the shape, aligning the crosshair on the sticker with the crosshair on the template. And then when I remove that, there's my center, my designated center. So easy to do that. And just, you know, I could repeat that and do that for every hexagon here on this little table runner, so that when I do go to hoop, I have all of my placement already designated and I don't have to worry about placement under the needle. So I would do that on each one. And of course, I don't have to waste your time to do all 5, but I think you get the idea. And then when I go to hoop, now I know exactly where I'm going to place my little hexagon shape in my hexagon applique. So we'll move on to a large diamond. And this is a 60-degree diamond. Same thing, I'm going to make sure that the horizontal and vertical lines are aligned with the points on my diamond. And again, I will take that target sticker and position it in the center, aligning all of that crosshair, both crosshairs. Okay. And then here's simple shapes, right? We have circles and squares. And you know, now you'll see the blue, and here I would probably use the yellow if if this quilt wasn't already quilted. And if your pattern, your block isn't perfect, like you can see this is not absolutely perfect, that's all right. You're going to just make sure it's evenly spaced around that edge. And then when you press that in place, you're good to go. But how about when you are over at the machine? So I'm going to take another blue target sticker and position that on the circle template. And then I'm going to go over to the machine and show you how I would be determining placement right under the needle. So here you can see I have a piece of fabric with circle appliques in place, fused in place. And then I'm just going to take my template and I'm making sure that the 5-inch line is aligned with the outside of the applique. And then I'm going to finger press that down. And now it'll stay in place as I lower the presser foot and move the jog keys to go over to that section, not section, but to the center of that target sticker. And I can just move it into position. Now I know on the machine, I have some really cool features. I have a live camera that could determine whether, I could give it a bird's eye view. I also probably have a laser. I don't have a laser on this machine, this foot, but I'm confident that that's in the center. If you're, really want to make sure you can drop the needle, and then when you lift up that presser foot and see if it hit that crosshair dead center, and it sure did. So now we're going to lift that template away, and we're going to embroider the design. And I hope I'm threaded. I might not be. We'll find out, won't we? Well, there's black thread in the needle, but I'm not really sure what's in the bobbin. But isn't that great? It's just going to travel around. And these quilting designs are so fast, right? 1 minute they stitch.
I know. I love it. I love the fabric.
Yeah, it's fun fabric. Kind of oldie but goodie. I love black and white. Sure. It's so powerful.
Yep. One of my faves.
Yeah. So I think we were out a little bit. Somebody said they're back. We were off. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Wendy Hanson, you want a 5x7 for your FOF. Thank you for that suggestion. Always good to know what sizes people are interested in, for sure. Okay, and Tricia, you say, okay, I understand this. Yeah, is it so easy to do it under the needle? We don't often want to, plan out all of our embroidery, like on a design wall or on a table. I often just want to do it right under the needle. It's the fastest way, for sure.
Right, and it's less intimidating if you do it section by section like that, right? It's just less intimidating, and you just focus on one little piece.
Right. And once that's done, like right now, it's like, oh, now you get to advance the fabric. Okay, and I'll go ahead and I'll do that. Now, truth be told, this is a small quilt, but I'm going to show you how you would do it so you could understand. So first I'll show you Amelie Scott's way. So what she likes to do is she lifts her frame and slides it down towards her, and then just holds onto the fabric and moves everything back. And then you can feel it snap into place. And then you're dead center for the next design. So that's how she does it. But Salima, I think you and I do it the same way, where we lift that top and store it over the head of the machine. You're probably out of the camera range now, but I'm just storing it over the head of the machine, and then I can advance my fabric and then drop it back down. Or was my whole arm in the way? No? Okay. So, and then, off I would stitch. Whoop. Yeah, wires, they're no good. Okay. Sorry about that. Let's see if we can get that back on there. You know, there's just never enough wires in a room, right, Salima?
Exactly. I
Yeah.
hear you.
I know. On that little table, it's a white table with, sharp corners, right? And last week, I kind of broke my rule. I wore sandals in this room, open toe, because it was 105 degrees out here in Texas. And, I tripped on a wire, and boy, do I have a big black and blue mark on my hip from, knocking into that table. So, yeah, on taping day, you should never wear open toes, you go in with all your safety gear on, right?
That's so true.
I know. Okay, so you have another way that you want to share, right, Salima?
I do. Let me go ahead and change my cameras here. And what I'm going to show you is, let's say you have an odd shape. So this one here is kind of one of my afterthoughts. I had quilted this. It was an in the hoop project. And as you can see, I use that same design. It must be one of my favorites subconsciously, I think. I use the same quilting design in the center. But then I thought, well, what if I wanted to quilt now the corners? And so I thought, well, how am I going to do that? Well, it's super easy. I'm going to go ahead and I laid it on my no-show mesh stabilizer, and I just taped it down. And I'm going to go take it to my machine, and I'm going to designate this area here for quilting. And I don't know if you guys can see that. I'm going to kind of tilt this so you can see. I've already started it just so you guys can see what it looks like. And these are all the stippling. I just did basic stippling on the corner, so that way the focal point is still going to be my center, but I think it really adds something to do the stippling in there. So I'll go ahead and take it over to my machine and show you how I do that. So I'm attaching the hoop to my machine right now. And once again, I do need to fabric scan. So let me go ahead and, I think I'm too zoomed in here. There we go. So let me go ahead and fabric scan my design here. And so it's just going to basically take a picture of what's in my hoop. So I'm just going to take a picture of what's in my hoop. All right, so it's done. I'll go ahead and turn it back over so you guys can see the machine screen, and I will zoom in. Let's see if I can go a little bit bigger. Okay, so there is my shape here. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and create quilting in this section here. So the nice thing on the machine is if you don't have a shape that's built into the machine, you can actually create your own shape and designate your own shape. And to do that, I'm going to go ahead and let me go back out a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and click on this line properties box, and the icon I'm going to use, they call it a, oops, you can't see that. It's called a point-to-point icon. So I'm going to select the point-to-point. I don't want it to necessarily stitch out. Once again, I just want it for placement purposes. So I'm going to choose the no sew option. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to draw a box. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to click in the corner, come down here, come across, and then go back to that initial starting point. So if I dim my design, you can see I just created that shape. Super easy to do. So here is my shape. And now what I'm going to do is fill it with stipple stitches. So to do that, I'm going to go back over to my fill icon here. And in the middle button right here are the fill options. Or not the fill options, but just the fill stitch, excuse me. And then I'll click on the bucket or the cup icon and click inside. Now, the nice thing with this is you can tell the machine how big or how small you want to fill. So here I have a really tiny stipple, but I can change that if I wanted to. I can make it bigger just by clicking on the spacing. And that looks pretty good to me. So I'll go ahead and I'll set it, and then I'll say okay. But the one thing I really wanted to show you is this machine also has a projector for fine-tuning your design. So I'm going to take it all the way to the embroidery side, and then I'm going to click on the projector icon. So the projector icon looks like this little pyramid here. And when I click on that, a box will appear in the center of my screen, and that is my projector box. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this over to my stippling area, and now I'm going to turn the camera around so you guys can see, hopefully, and I'm going to zoom in. So can you guys see that there is stippling right in this section? So you can really audition and make sure that the stippling is where you need it to be. Now I can see I'm a little close to the edge here, so no problem. I'm just going to use the arrows on my machine to move my stippling over so it's not touching the seam line here. And then once again, I can go back and just double check everything. And once I'm satisfied with that, I will go ahead and say okay, and I will go ahead and start the machine. And this is about a 1-minute design, and it's just going to do stippling in that section.
That's beautiful, Salima. We were able to see the projector really well.
Oh, good. I was worried about that.
Yeah, we were able to see the image of the design, you know, kind of thrown onto the fabric, and that fine-tuning placement. That's so cool. It really is. And, you know, it's really important to do that in a project that Salima's working on there. It's just a single block, and she's getting, you know, that beautiful center design, which is gorgeous. And then those 4 half-square triangles are being quilted with stipple. But, you know, often when we're working on a big quilt, you know, maybe we're not so concerned about all that fine tuning, right, Salima?
Exactly.
Yeah, but that's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Now, I did have a question from Donna Barshinger. She says, would your Tuesday classes also cover the Destiny 2 or just the Solaris?
Great question. Absolutely. It covers any machine with IQ Designer or even My Design Center. So if you have a Destiny, you have a Solaris, it definitely will work with that. If you have an Altair, a Meridian, I cover those machines as well. And then on the brother side, any of their models that have My Design Center, you can benefit from that as well. So absolutely.
That's awesome. Yeah. And it's great to, you know, use those features, master those features on your machine. Gosh, we don't even know all the potential that's built in there, right?
No, it's amazing. It's amazing.
It's the truth. Yeah. So what's happening in the store these days? Tell us a little bit what's going on at AAA Sewing and Fabric.
Yeah, so there's a lot. We, well, as you know, we carry 5 brands here. So we keep really, really busy here in the store. And we have on-site technicians. So they're always super busy. And then we do classes. So we have in-person classes, we have our Zoom classes, as well as my Facebook classes as well. So we do a lot of classes, a lot of online. So we go online about 3 times a week. So we're really busy, but it's fun. It's fun. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, and you're very good at it. So you should embrace it. You should definitely embrace it, Salima. So Susanna Adler wants to know, do you have any classes for the Baby Lock Vesta?
The Baby Lock Vesta, not currently, but I'm constantly adding classes. So if you just check my website, every couple of weeks I'm adding more and more classes to it. We really just started our in-person classes recently. So I just keep adding and adding. So hopefully I will get to all of the different models for sure.
Good. Well, Marianne Dublagas wants to send in a request for more classes using the decorative stitches in our machine.
Yeah, there are so many beautiful stitches you can use, absolutely. And some you can do it manually, just the normal old-fashioned way, and some you can bring it on the embroidery side. So yeah, that's a great.
Right. Yeah. And then you also have, here, you have some friends. Doris is saying, fabric sales, and then Margie Lynn Mills. Don't forget your Wednesday night fabric sale.
They're so funny. So yes. So on that, I will go ahead and say, yeah, we do go live every Wednesday. We do a fabric sale, Fabric and Notions. In fact, we were on last night as well. It's at 6 p.m. Pacific, and we actually now have an app. So you can download our app on Google Play or the or Google, whatever the Google version is, an Apple. Now I'm blank. The Apple store, and
The
you
Apple
can
Play
download
Store.
our app. What was that?
Yeah. The Apple Play Store, I think.
Yeah, there you go. The Apple Play Store, and then you can watch us directly there, and you can purchase fabric and notions there. We do a sale every week, so we have a lot of fun. So,
That's awesome. That's great. So many fun things to do. Well, Sharon Jones just signed up for your Salima classes for her Destiny too.
Oh, so, awesome. Thank you, Sharon. Awesome.
That's wonderful. You'll enjoy that. And they go every other week, is that right?
Yes, I am live every other week. So this coming Tuesday, I will be live again at 3:30 p.m. Pacific. Yes. And then anytime I do other classes via Facebook, via Zoom, that's where I post them in my IQ Tips and Tricks group. That's where people will get notified of upcoming classes and retreats. So that's the best way to find out about them. Yeah.
Very good. Well, my good friend Retha Ranke, she comes every week, and she loves this virtual learning because she lives in the middle of nowhere, she says. But she says, it is amazing that I don't know what I don't know. You should own a business, Retha. You want to know what you don't know, right, Salima?
Exactly. Constantly learning new things every day. Oh my
Absolutely.
goodness.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's see. And Wednesday night you play games for prizes. Okay.
We do. We have a lot of fun. We have a great community out there and a lot of support. I'm really, just humbled and thankful for all my friends out there who constantly tune in to us and watch us. And, we make mistakes here and there. We laugh here and there. We do games and prizes, and we have fabric, but we have fun, right? That's the bottom line. We have fun. And, on Friday mornings, we do Friday Fun Day where we show different products and techniques. So tomorrow I'll be on Friday Fun Day. I'm showing a new ruler that we just got in. So a lot of stuff going on. Yeah.
Well, you are really busy. I should let you go. But before you go, we're going to talk about, Mickey Smith says, don't you have a series, Salima? So I'm not real sure what that question is.
I do. I think Mickey's talking about, I have the Enhancing Your IQ series. And so what these are, I partnered with Babylock a few years back. This is before really IQ Designer, people knew about or knew what to do with. And I kind of was really attracted to that part of the machine. And so I created a 4 series. Actually, at that time, it was volumes 1 through 4 on how to use IQ Designer. And I brought it up to Babylock, and they loved it. And so I partnered with them. And then, so we've been doing really well with them. And then they asked me to do a few more. So that I have, now I have a total of 7 volumes. So I actually, in fact, have them on my website as well as on my app. And they're on sale just for this program today. So I just want to offer it to our friends out there if anybody's interested in learning about IQ Designer or my design center.
Yeah. Well, thank you for doing that. Everybody loves that. So, sales are always good. So speaking of sales, it's still Hoopapalooza here at Dime. Remember, all hoops are on sale. And if you tuned in last week or maybe the week before, you learned about our new compatibility chart. You just go to dzgns.com, search hoops, and that image there of the hoop on an embroidery machine, if you click on that, it will take you to the compatibility chart. And you can download it, but we advise you just to use it online because we update it all the time as we add new hoops or new machines are added to compatibility. And then in the table of contents, you'll search for your brand and then advance to that page. And then when you select a hoop, so you have your machine model on the left column and then the hoop size in the columns to the right. When you click on that, the hoop that you're interested in, it will jump you to the cart so that you can add it without, doing any more searching. So for sure, it's really fast and easy to find your hoop now. Well, Salima, every week we do a on the house embroidery design, and that's the old, we're buying drinks tonight, right? It's on the house. So
I love it. I love it.
I know it's a fun. It's fun. So we always search on social media to see what people have posted, and this week is or last week was the ice cream cone. So Diana Mullins Atkinson, she did hers in, these are all patriotic designs for the month of June, and she stuck with those colors. Really lovely. I think maybe she used some Mylar in there because I see a little gleam.
I see a little glitter in there. I love that.
Yeah. So Marianne Dublaga has another question. She says, does your series have projects in it, or is it just lessons?
They are projects. They are projects. And what it is they have, there's six PDF projects with PDF lessons, step by steps, and then there's one video, and there's also the embroidery file, because sometimes you just want to embroider the design out directly. So there's a little bit of everything. Yeah,
sure. And Sylvia Reese said something really lovely. She said it's a blessing that even in Puerto Rico, they have access to, amazing people like us girls. But anyway, thank you very much, Sylvia. We feel blessed to do what we do. I'm sure I can speak for you, Salima, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Truly blessed.
Yeah. Yeah, so fun, that ice cream cone by Diana Mullins Atkinson. And next up is Susan Timchak, and she has embroidered it on a t-shirt. I think or maybe it's a onesie, but I think it's a child shirt, but super cute, right? Just in time for the hot summer. So let's see.
Now I'm craving ice cream. I mean,
right. Diana Mullins Atkinson, she's just piped in. She said, yes, she did change the stitch density and used Mylar. She loves the sparkle. So she took that into Perfect Embroidery Pro. Diana Mullins Atkinson is one of our educators here at Dime. So she took it into our software and can, change the density of that complex fill in the properties box on the C2S format. Boy, that sounded really technical, but if you have software, you know what I'm talking about. So anyway, okay. So what's up? The next one is, you're going to love this design. This is probably my favorite of the year. Well, maybe, I don't know. We've had a lot of really good ones. We're at like week 24, I think.
Wow.
This flip-flop.
Oh, I love flip-flops.
Aren't they so fun with the stars and stripes?
I love that. That's really cute.
Yeah, just 4 colors. So those of you with a 6-needle embroidery machine, boom, you're going to fly through that. And if you're on a single needle machine, well, you're only going to have to change colors 4 times. So that's super fun. Yeah, it's really cute. I think that was well done. Deborah Jones, our in-house expert on all things embroidery, she runs this whole program. She oversees the digitizing, selects the artwork. So I'm always tickled when I see what's coming next. She did a really nice job.
Super talented gal.
I know, she sure is. She's the best.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to work with her, for sure. Okay, so let's see. Susan Timchak says she can't wait to stitch those flip-flops. I know, they're really super cute. They could be adorable on a million different things. Tell us in the comments, what are you going to put it on? A t-shirt, maybe a zipper pouch, who knows? They're big, or, they'd be really cute earrings, but they're big. So don't go on the earrings because they'd be hanging down like this. And that might be fun for 4th of July, right?
Never know.
You never know.
Yeah.
Well, Salima, it was just so delightful to have you here today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Truly, it was my pleasure.
Yeah, well, we're going to do more together. We had a fun chat before we went live, so hopefully you'll see more of Salima, and we have some fun things up our sleeve. So fun.
Thank you so much. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you guys.
Okay. And so for all of you, I'd like to thank you for joining me. Next week, I have a very special guest. I mentioned it earlier, and it is my sister, Marie Zeno, my stitching sister that I traveled the country with for about 8 different years. We had so much fun. And here she is signing a machine. I think that was in I think that was actually in Pennsylvania. But I hope you'll join us. It's going to be all about Hoopapalooza still. It's, one of the last weeks of Hoopapalooza. So, her and I teamed up and wrote the book, Hoop It Up. So we're going to be talking about hooping all different types of things. And it'll be fun. It's hard for me to get her off that golf course and tennis court. So she promised she'll be here. Let's hope she keeps her promise. Thank you all. Have a great week. We'll see you next week.